Very cool. So while we get started, I want to give a quick agenda. Well, first of all, I'm Sonam Gupta. If you were here in the last or the first session, um, I was here, you know about me. I currently work as a senior developer advocate at aiXplain or Explain. And today we have Asma, my colleague. She is going to walk us through a RAG-based agent, and she's here on the camera. And she's feeling a little sick. I hope you feel better soon. So bear with her. She might be coughing. Um, yeah, but she is just as enthusiastic as all of us. But before she starts her pitch, I am going to give a quick introduction and some housekeeping details. So let me quickly share my screen and we will get started. All right. Assuming you guys can see my screen, one second. Okay. How do there we go. All right. So welcome back to the Agent to Clock mini-series. I'm here with my colleague Asma, and she will be the one who will be live coding the agent today with all of you guys. And feel free to tag along or walk it along. And Asma, in the meantime, if you can share the dataset links in the chat, that would be helpful. And you guys can then either take it on right now or try to build it later. All right. So, for those who don't know about Explain or what Explain is, I'd love to give a quick one-liner introduction. So, Explain basically provides a way to build and deploy or launch AI agents faster and in the most trusted way, along with a unified developer experience via a vast marketplace of AI assets such as generative AI models, state-of-the-art language models, and many other utilities. We have both the SDK and no-code, low-code agent builder. For the production deployment, we have SaaS, on-prem, or even hybrid for as much compliance and flexibility that you can get. And, it is a fully managed for seamless operation. And along with that, we have some advanced services for optimizing your agents through benchmarking, fine-tuning, indexing, routing, custom onboarding, rate and usage limiting services, and so on and so forth. For the agentic framework, we provide both single agent and multi-agent architecture. And it comes with embedded inspectors where you basically don't really need AI expertise to start building the agents in minutes. Now, since today's topic is more around RAG-based agent, we uh, we are basically so for those who don't know what RAG is, well, for this agent, the goal is basically to automatically validate and explain company expenses by retrieving details from the receipts and cross-referencing the vendors or purchases using the web data. And how you can retrieve and store your receipts, Asma will show you that live. And a quick definition around what RAG is versus agentic RAG. Well, RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, is a method where your model, your LLM, will basically retrieve the relevant context from external knowledge base, from different data sources, whether it's the database data set that you provide or you provide some files, pictures, whatever, depending on the use case. Now, agentic RAG basically extends this concept by giving the AI agents the ability, which they already have, to plan, retrieve, and reason, but doing that also over the documents and the tools for autonomously turning this static retrieval process into dynamic and goal-driven interaction. Now, these are a lot of words. This was the theory behind the RAG versus agentic RAG. You will see the hands-on practical application what Asma is going to show. Now, some housekeeping. Please take your phone or scan the QR code. I will share the Discord link in the chat as well. The QR code basically will take you to our Discord server. So after this session, if you have more questions, Discord is the place for you to ask us any questions you may have around building agents, how to get started with Explain, and so on and so forth. So once you have signed up on Explain, you are going to get $5 in credits automatically once you sign up. But given that you're part of this mini series, we are giving you free 10 credits using the voucher code Miniseries, all caps. And it is valid till August 25 of this year. So please take a note, take a screenshot or anything. Again, this recording will be shared via email to all the registered participants, and I will share the code in the chat as well. The code that Asma is going to talk about is most likely very shared on GitHub as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Asma. But in any case, we will be able to share the recording and the code after the session. All right, that's all I got. Over to you, Asma, and thank you everyone for listening.
Can you guys hear me? See? Good.
Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm Asma. Sorry about my cold today, by the way. I might sound a little congested, I might like cough. Please ignore it. I swear this is not how I sound like in real life. This is just me dealing with life right now. Okay, so let's get started with the agent. Hopefully this is quite easy to follow. Please stop me at any point of time if you have any questions or if you want to ask anything related to the code, or you need to kind of have a bit of more detail, or you want to go into how I got whatever information I'm getting. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen to my code editor. Hold on one second. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully you guys see this. I am just going to start by having a new Python file. The code over here is going to be in Python. You can have it in JavaScript, Curl, whatever is your programming language of choice. Our SDK is in Python, but obviously all the agent endpoints can be converted into any language of choice. And also we have a no-code builder for macOS, if you guys are interested in trying that out. Okay, to start, don't need Copilot right now. So we're gonna import OS, which is gonna be our library for the API key and stuff. And I'm also gonna import CSV. You might not need it. I'm just gonna have a lot of this stuff available. So this part of the code that I'm gonna be putting in now is the explain API key. If you've been following along with the previous session, you know that the API key is what we get from the Discover platform. In case that's not something you know, let me show you guys where you can get the API key. So you're gonna go to the Discover platform. Let me just open that up so we can go through it. Okay, so you're gonna go to Discover. This is how your dashboard is gonna essentially look. Over here, you're going to see general settings and you're gonna see integration. So you go into the integrations tab. You guys see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Create an API key, name your API key, and then you can create the key. And then you get the API key that you can then copy. You can only see the entire API key once to make sure that you're storing it somewhere safe, and then you can just paste your API key into your code. So going back to my VS Code, yeah, I'm gonna just get my API key and set it here. Pretend you guys don't see this. Please don't try to steal it. And then I'm also going to just put in these two code snippets. And the reason for that is just to stop extra logging and things like that so that you guys can see it more clearly. Next, coming to the libraries, I'm just going to import a bunch of libraries and I'm going to explain this hopefully as I go or clear it up in case there are any questions later. So from explain factories, which is where we have all of our different asset types like agents, models, indexes, stuff like that. I'm going to get agent factory. I'm also going to get model factory, and I'm going to get index factory. Okay, so we have these three libraries, which is primarily what we're going to use today. And then we have a concept which is modules. which is called a record. And what a record is essentially every data entry would be imported as a record. So, so that's how you would get your record. And then I actually will not be needing factory, and I think that is good for now. I'm also going to import a bunch of extra additional libraries that you don't need to actually worry about. This is just me. This is just me kind of making sure that I don't have a lot of extra stuff on my screen when I'm showing the results. This is just going to be logging and error handling and stuff like that. So just going to suppress a lot of that logs. Now let's come to the actual data set part and how we're going to handle our data. So we're going to have a list of data entries, and for each of these entries, it's going to be a form of a dictionary. You set an ID for each data value, and this could be whatever you want it to be. And then you're going to provide your data field. So in this case, what I'm going to be doing is providing a PDF URL from the data set. So the data set, if you guys have taken a look, is basically just a bunch of PDFs of a Northwind shipping order summary. So they're just like order summaries, and they're all in PDF format. So what we're going to do is grab the URLs for the PDFs and provide them here. So this is just per PDF link, because I'm not going to be doing them for a bunch of PDFs, just like a couple of them. You could also like easily automate, you could also easily automate this to kind of have the entire data set and things like that. Just basic scripts that could work with this. Now over here, you'll see me, actually I'm just gonna tab this and then like replace them with the URLs that I have. But basically what you're gonna see here is that you could fill this up with whatever information you need regarding your orders. And while the example I am working with in this agent is a financial operations specialist almost, which is going to work with these orders to kind of validate the information and make sure that the expenses put are verified and correct. You can optimize this to whatever your use case might be, and you can work with different kind of PDF files. What this agent, I should actually walk through what this agent's going to do as well. What this agent is going to do is it's going to take in this data set, which has these receipts or these documents, and it's going to also take in, and it's basically going to work around getting information from these PDFs about vendors, shipping information, things like that. And you're also going to be able to kind of ask it questions about whether this is a verified seller or a verified product and things like that to kind of stay on top of your financial operations. Of course, this is just like a use case I have right now, but this could also be changed very much into like whatever your particular use case might be. So over here, I have my data logged into the ID and PDF URL. This could additionally be converted into having also vendor information, having regional information, having like the supervisor data, like you can log whatever information you need. Next, I have a model, which I'm going to call. So models in our case are basically all of these models are a kind of asset that you can use to kind of perform different kind of operations or essentially like you can do different actions or operations through these models. So right now what I need is something to scrape these PDFs, right? So if I have a PDF, I want to scrape the PDF to get all the data or the text out of the PDF, and then I'm going to be able to log them into my index. So an index is essentially going to be what your RAG you intend your RAG to do. So you can have the PDF URL, you can put the data in it, like the text data and any other additional information that you might want to provide. So to get my the model ID, what I'm going to do is go to discover, and then you can go to my dashboard and then go to discover, and then you can search for Docling. And what should show up is the Docling model. and you just copy the ID of the model, and that's basically all you need. And I'm going to go back to my code and paste it over here for the model ID. So this is gonna get my model and like get it so that I can use it as part of my code. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my index. So what my index is essentially like I mentioned, the RAG bit of what we're doing, where we're storing this information, this document as a knowledge base that we're gonna later use. So yeah, create. So that's the create method. Just gonna create our model, and we're gonna name it something. So I'm gonna name it, you just see index, and you don't actually need to. This is not what you need to do. So you just name it, and then you can provide a description for your index. So this is an index for receipt documents, and pretend you didn't see that. And then I'm just going to, once you initialize it or when you create your index, you're going to get an index ID. So I'm just going to print out what the index ID is in this case. So now when you have your data, you're not going to directly feed it into your index. You're going to have to use the data to create a data entry, which I mentioned over here being a record. So we're going to index into these records. Okay. And the way we're going to do that is basically by, again, having like a list for my records. And for each document in the data that we have defined, we want to we want to get the text out of the document. So how we're going to do that is we're going to run this Docling model that we just defined, which is going to basically scrape a PDF or any text-based document, and it's going to get the information from that. So we're going to run the Docling model, and we're going to run it for the doc and PDF URL. And all we're interested out of this is the data that we get back, right? So you're just going to get the data back, and that's all we're interested in currently. It's just the text out of that record, out of the PDF. So we're running Docling. We run it for the URL, we get the data back, and we store it into our text variable. So now for record, we are going to define a record field. So the record field, again, like I mentioned, is a data engine. Here you can specify or go into as much detail as you want. You're going to have an ID, which is going to be a unique identifier. We're going to have value, which is our text. And we are going to have attributes. And these attributes are essentially going to be any these attributes are going to be any additional information, any additional metadata that you want to provide. So over here, I just care about the source because I don't have a lot of information here. Here, you can extend it to be whatever data you want to. It could be the supervisor, region, things like that would all go under attributes and would be stored under there. Next, we're just going to append that in each record into our little list of records. And now we populate. So now that we have our data entries primed and ready, we're going to populate our index with these records. So what I'm going to do is go for I in range 0 to len of records for 300 records. If you are wondering what I'm doing over here by populating for 100, what I'm essentially doing is populating the index by batches. So because in this case, there are only 4, but if you're working in a real world scenario, you would have a bunch of records and you can have a bunch of files. So you would like to populate it in batches because that's just more convenient. So this is just me trying to populate in batches. This is not something that you actually need to do. You could just you don't need that for this case, but this is just like essentially you populate in batches. So that's basically what we're going to do. And you're not going to add them, you're going to insert these into your index. And then I'm just going to print the total recorded indexes. And I'm just going to print out the index.count. So that I also cannot spell. So that's also like a quick fun fact about me. And then once you have your index ready, you have your index, you have upserted. What upsert is, by the way, is that you can add or update a document in your index. So for example, I have an index of record ID 1. Now, if I would like to change the index of ID 1, I can just use the same ID and change the PDF URL, and it would update the record. So upsert kind of does both of these things, where it updates or inserts into your index. Coming to the more juicy bit, we're gonna now define our agent. So we have the RAG bit, and now we're gonna go into the agentic RAG bit. So we're gonna call it the finance ops agent. Because we're fancy like that. So we're gonna go agent factory.create. This is gonna help us create our agent, and there are a couple of fields that we need to do. We need to populate and fill. So our name for this agent is gonna be a finance relations agent.
Asma, can you
Yeah.
zoom in a little bit, please?
Okay. Is that good? More.
That's good.
Okay, good. Okay. I didn't get to finish that. So this is the name is going to be a finance operations agent. We're going to provide a bit of a description for this agent. And the only reason you're providing a description in this case is to identify that. So when you have a bunch of agents, you just kind of need something to glance at and be like, this is what the agent does. An agent that validates financial documents. And then we're going to provide it with a bunch of instructions. So what the instructions will do is essentially, this is what kind of tells your agent what to do. So your agent is going to use these instructions as a reference point to know what it needs, what actions needs to it needs to follow through with, what it needs to do, how it's supposed to do them, and you kind of go into detail in this section, where you can provide all of the information that you kind of want your agent to do. Over here, I'm just going to mention a couple of things. I'm going to say, I have this ready. I'm not going to be typing this because the spelling mistakes, and this is going to give me a nightmare. So here's what these agents' instructions are. You are a financial operations specialist. You need to ensure that the company expenses are legitimate, compliant with policy, and correctly categorized. Pull relevant details from the company receipt index, is that what's where we've defined here, of PDFs, which has vendor names, amounts, date, categories, etc. Use Google search as a tool to fetch contextual information from vendor websites or third-party sources. Actually, I have not even completed this. Hold on. Sources to check if the vendor is legitimate. Okay. Now that we've given it a name, we know what the agent's name is, what it does, and we've also provided the agent with what it does. We need to now equip it with tools that allow it to function to its best capability. And the way we're going to do this is by defining our tools. So we are going to do agent factory. This is fully not right. So I'm just going to go back into this. Agent factory dot create model tool. So essentially what we do is that every time we have a tool, we want to create a model tool for our agent. And I'm also not typing. Right. So what we're gonna do here is just call our index through the index ID as a tool for this agent. And that's essentially what you're gonna do across. So if you're using models, you're using data, you're using indexes, you want to create a model tool out of every one of these, or even if you're using custom code, you would like to create a model out of all of these and provide them as a tool to your agent. Now this index, we're just giving the index ID. In the event that I will also show you where your index is going to live and where you can actually get the ID for your index, like how we got it for the model factory. We're also going to be able to get for the Docling model. We're also going to be able to get the index for the index ID for our different indexes and work with those. Next, I'm going to go to agent factory dot create model tool. And over here, I'm going to be providing it with a Google search model. So let me show you where I'm going to get that from. Okay, wait 1 second. Google search. And then I can. I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to, so I went to dashboard, discover, I've searched for Google search, and this is the first tool that comes up as a utility. And I'm just going to copy the link again, go back to my code and paste it there. And basically that's all that you need to create your agent, essentially, is that you need to just provide it with a name, a description, instructions, and tools. And once you equip it with all of this, you're going to be able to essentially do whatever you basically have a ready agent. An optional thing that you could also choose to do is provide your own LLM of choice. So we have a bunch of LLMs on the on Discover. You can pick any one of them, put them in here, and you're gonna have you can pick and choose whatever you want as an LLM. Experiment with these. And once your agent is ready, we are ready to run this. So let's actually run it with a couple of use cases just to see what's kind of coming, right? So the first question I want to ask this agent is what, okay, so let's actually take a look at the PDFs first so that we have some context to the questions I'm asking. Yep. And if I go here and I'm opening one of these PDFs, we see that we have shipping details, we have customer details, we have employee details, we have shipping details again, shipper details, sorry, order details, products, and total price and stuff. So we can ask questions related to all of this to our agent, and it should be able to answer these questions. So knowing this, let's go back and ask some questions to our agent. So I have 4 PDFs. I have this one. I have, I think, one of these. So we have like 4, but all of them are kind of following the same template almost. So we should be able to ask it some questions. Let's go back to our agent and get started here. Excuse me. What is the $440 purchase from Vinet poll? Okay. And our response is going to be such. It's going to be in response data output. Okay. So we have your response is actually going to be a massive block, which is going to contain entire agent response, and it's going to have your agent, the tool steps, what your agent was thinking, and all of those details. And we will get into that, but just for the first couple of responses, while we kind of work through this, let's just talk about just the data output. Now I'm also going to go response. Is going to be, we're going to ask it a couple of questions, okay? You use the run method. So you call your agent, you call the run method, and then you ask it whatever query you need to. So over here, I'm going to ask it, I have a couple of queries because based on the data based on the PDFs, I had a couple of queries that I prepared. So I'm just going to have those queries ready just to see the kind of response that comes out of these, right? That's the second one. And then finally, I'm going to ask it. So these, if you notice that the PDFs in this example usually mostly contain ingredients. So it's mostly just like shipping and order purchases for different types of ingredients. So here's my third question: is that what is the unit price for tofu in the documents, and give me the market price for it. So we're asking 3 questions. One is the price for one of the orders. One is if this person is, or this company is a verified shipper, and the unit price for tofu. So you might be wondering what we did with, so we have these 2 tools that we equipped the agent with, right? So we have the document index that we have, and the second one that we have is the Google search. And why would I need like a Google search? What we could use this for in this case is essentially if I have for questions like this, where you could you get the unit price for it, but you also get the market price for it. You have this shipper, and you can now get information about what this shipper, if it's a legitimate shipper, if the company is being scammed, you get information about whether this person is verified. You also have the purchase information. So this is where your index is primarily coming in, right? Where you can go into your index and you can kind of be like, hi, I have this purchase order. Is this correct? You can also be like, is this a verified vendor? If this is the market price for tofu, or like, am I like I'm fully being scammed right now? So these are the kind of questions you can ask. So let's go and look at what the response would look like. Yep, I need to be here. I'm going to now run this file to see the kind of response I get. Oops, I might have missed something in this code. Let me actually go and correct it, or like take a look at what's missing. Oops, sorry, my field name was wrong. Where, you know what I did? Let me actually show you guys what I did wrong so that you guys are learning from my mistake. Is I went nam, which should be name, and that was on me. So let's go and try that again. And we're gonna go aiXplain agent.py, and hopefully this time I don't have a lot of spelling errors. So that's this ID is the ID of our index. And I'm gonna also show you guys how we can use that instead of having directly the index ID and just passing it, where you can get the index and use it. So we have 4 PDFs and we have 4 in our index, so that is correct. I'm also going to zoom in here. If you guys can see, I'm doing some stuff. Yeah. So our first answer to our first question about what the $440 purchase was, it says for Vinnet was that it had queso, and gives you a breakdown of each item and how much it costed. And then you have the total amount. So you have a breakdown of the total order over here based on the order details. Now it says, wow. Okay, so our best shipper is not a verified shipper, and there are indications that it may be associated with scams, particularly involving high shipping fees. Yeah. So as you can tell, we are being scammed right now by the shipper. So maybe we need to look at that. The unit price, the final question was the unit price for tofu in the document, and the unit price that we were charged was $18.6, while the market price average is 2.69, the range being low is 1.69 and high being 6.79. So this is essentially the kind of questions that you can answer and the kind of answers that you can expect from your agent in this really easy use case. Let's also look at the breakdown of how the agent thinks about when we're asking these questions, right? First thing I'm going to do is grab the index ID so that I can show you how you can call it with the actual index ID instead of just the passing the index directly. Okay, here. So instead of doing that, I will remove that and put the index here. And I'm going to comment out these questions because we already kind of saw them, because I'm just right now interested in showing you guys how it would look if we had just the response. So just to kind of make it more, essentially, you would call response and then go to data, and that gives you the entire breakdown of what the data is like. But because it might be hard for you to read, what I'm going to do is go to json.dumps to just to kind of make it more readable for you guys. And I'm going to also do an indent too, just so that everything's nice and readable. And I'm going to also just right now comment out this index bit, because we already have our index and we have that. We're good with that. So I'm just going to keep the data so that we have that here. I'm going to remove the index bit because we have an index that's already been created. We've called the index ID for this iteration just because we have that ready and we can call it directly with the index. and we have our response, and we're asking our question, and we're going to see our response. Going back here, let's run our Python. I'm going to run a clear just so that we're working with a clear screen, and then Python agent paper.
Asma, are these the intermediate steps that is printed out, or
Yeah.
it's more okay?
Yep. Sorry, I was gonna go through this. So basically, we have a unit price, we have a market price, we have a range, and we have an average that we already saw as a response. Here we have the input that we asked for. The output, we have a session ID. So this is what you can use to ask a recurring question, or you provide the session ID during your agent run, and it's going to, you can ask follow-up questions based on that. Here are the intermediate steps. That's what's interesting to us right now, is that this is our agent. It provides this input, the output, tool steps. So this is going to be an insight into how your agent is thinking and what it's doing. So the first thing it did was search our index that we created, and it's used to search term tofu. So anything that kind of mentioned tofu or had anything to do with tofu, it scraped out and gave it this output of all of that information. The next thing it did was it went to Google search and it asked for the current market price of tofu. And then it got the entire price. So it had like 2.92, $3.32 per pound. All of this information, the market price, export import prices, things like that. And then came up with the conclusion that this should be your output. The output should look like this, where you have the range, you have the average, and you have all of that unit price information. And this is just going to give you execution stats. You can see the amount of credits that were used, the amount of API calls, the runtime, and then it's going to give you a breakdown of whatever assets were used and everything. So you could see that it basically used everything that we currently defined for it. And yeah, that's basically how the agent breakdown would look. And that's essentially what your agent's been doing. And yeah, this is as easy as it needs to be to kind of create an agent. I'm going to also show you how you can deploy these agents. So let me go back to the code window and we can work towards deploying our agent. So now that I have this defined, I can run it, I can do all of those things. What I can also do with the agent, I'm going to also still run one query just so that we're on the same page. But essentially, with your agent, once you feel like you're confident in the responses your agent is providing, and you feel like this is going well, I kind of want this agent in my life, you can go and deploy your agent and just run the deploy method. And what this is going to do is it's going to make your agent available for you in it's going to make your agent available for you in the dashboard. So you can now happily call your agent very confidently into any of your workflows because you've created an agent that you're happy with and you're proud of. So just waiting for this to now get deployed. Once it also generates, it runs its query and it's deployed, we can then go and I can show you the agent to you in the dashboard. That's our response. And then it's not going to print out anything. I'm just waiting for it to kind of get done. Perfect. Now let me show you the agent in the dashboard. Let me just pull that up. And that's our agent. So this is the agent ID. That's me. You have all of this information. You have the description, like I mentioned, that it's going to be easier for you to see what the agent is doing. You can go into API integration. You have the curl commands or like the code for how you could post and get your responses from your agent endpoint. So this is your agent endpoint that you will be calling. And you have the code in Python if you want to execute it, and JavaScript as well. And you could use the chat link to kind of chat with your agent. externally. But essentially, that is what your agent is doing, and this is how you can now access your agent on the dashboard. And I think that is it from what I wanted to cover. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Asma. That was very good. And everyone who's participating could please feel free to ask any questions. Any feedback in the meantime, please feel free to put it in the chat as well. How does everyone feel about what we learned today on about agentic RAG and how to build an agent in general? So Cody says, great webinar. Thank you, Cody.
Oh, thank you.
And in the chat that I have actually put the the voucher code for you to build an agent. And also, if you are unaware of how to redeem the code, I have also shared a video link where we walk you through how to redeem the code once you have signed up on aiXplain. And once again, a gentle reminder that we have 2 more sessions coming up soon with my colleagues. We will be again, live coding an agent. And after the fourth session, after the last session, we will have a fifth community showcase where any of you who have successfully built an agent, whether it's a single agent or team of agent, we would love to have you be the one giving the talk, showing off what you have built, and more social media shares after that. So please go ahead, go back home, and build an agent of any of your topic. And if you need any topic suggestions, please come to me on Discord, and I can help you with that as well. And to give you more encouragement, let me share the cookbook with you. In this cookbook, you're going to find a lot of different agents that we have built along with the README sections. And that way you can get some encouragement or inspiration of what you want to build as an agent. And again, but if you have a fully built agent, please come back to me. You will get an email from us about the recording and everything. Feel free to reach out and let us know if you have built an agent. We would love to have you showcase yours at our last webinar. Or the one after the last webinar, my bad. Anyway, okay, that was my housekeeping blabber. If you guys have any questions, we still have some time. Feel free to share it in the chat or come on the audio, video, whichever you prefer. No questions? Thank you, Emma. Thank you for attending. Great job, Ashna. That was very well explained and well structured, so appreciate that.
I'm dying.
And I hope you feel better soon.
Thanks. I fully Advil. I'm gonna be popping an Advil, so just I need it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if nobody has any question, I can let you guys go a little early. But again, feel free to jump in on Discord and ask any questions you have. Is the Discord link. And if no questions, feel free to jump on.
Thank you so much for attending
Thanks, guys.
part of this.
Thank you, Asma.